Twins of Reddit. What's your embarrassing story involving your twin's partner? My husband has an identical twin. When my husband and I got engagement photos done, Facebook automatically tagged my husband's brother in a bunch of our photos, and I posted them without realizing. My identical twin brother got married and FB kept asking me if I wanted to tag myself in wedding photos of him and his wife. I went to a funeral of a friend's father. I had no idea that the deceased had an identical twin. It felt really strange to see the guy in the coffin sat at the front row of the church. Must have been even weirder for him. Everyone stare intensely. Was going down an escalator at a casino. Look across and see my brother. Get the excites and yell, "Hey bro." Start waving for his attention. Was waving to myself in a mirror. My twin did that at our work. He was walking to his car and looked in the window and saw me walking parallel to him and got excited and waved. He first was confused how I was waving at him at the same time, then realized it was just a reflection. Haha. My identical twin brother, my wife, and myself all went to school together and got jobs at the same place after passing boards. Since there are some rules regarding family working together, I was not hired to the same unit as my wife, but my twin was. It was a lot of fun, taking lunches together, etc. But there was one social worker who just couldn't grasp that my brother and wife were not the married ones. She'd compliment me on how cute they were together, comment on social media how great a couple they were, even talk about how much my kids take after their dad, referring to him. It's all benign and we laugh about it, but she really laid it on thick. I'm not a twin, but dated one of two twin brothers in high school. The other twin also had a girlfriend at the school. One day, someone in my class pulls me aside to nervously tell me he thinks my boyfriend is cheating on me. He was fairly new at the school and didn't know yet there were twins. It gave us all a good laugh when the story got around and the guy was pretty relieved to hear there was no cheating going on. My dad and uncle are twins. 2-3 times a year they'll show up to dinner or they'll be at each other houses wearing the exact same outfit, only different brands. At first it was funny, but now we know it just happens. People mix them up all the time. Multiple times a month they are telling people they are not the other. Haha. Acquaintances and work associates have thought they are having an affair. My dad was confronted once and had to explain to the guy, who was a couple drinks in apparently, that he's not his brother. An actual story from when they were kids. They are almost 3 years and share a room with 2 wooden frame twin beds. That Christmas they got a plastic tool chest toy set thing. My grandma says it wasn't more than 3 weeks after Christmas when she goes into their room and the beds are completely taken apart. The head and footboard bolts were removed, the slats were removed and separated. They had no idea how it happened. My grandpa called up the company handyman who put it back together. Couple days later, same exact thing, only my grandparents are pissed now. They got rid of the wood bed frames and got 2 metal cots with the springs, which lasted about a week. My grandma walks into their room and found one of the beds completely taken apart, each spring removed. The twins, though they were working together on the second cot, one of them was grabbing the fabric and pulling it to ease the tension and the other was using the back of the plastic hammer to pry out the spring. They ended up losing tool chest privileges. My twin brother died in a car wreck and my family suggested that I should date his girlfriend because grief, I guess. Real freaking awkward. Mom. I tried to date this girl from class and we were going out on dates and everything, but out of nowhere she stopped talking to me because her friends saw me with another girl, my twin sister, at the movies and thought I was playing her, but they didn't know I have a twin sister. What happened afterwards? Did things end there? Well, I explained that she is my twin and showed her pictures of us growing up and she met her in person, but she said she just couldn't trust me anymore, so yeah, things ended like a month later. My ex was once scrolling through FB and said, "You look really hot in this photo." It wasn't me. This is actually my friend's story. She went to see a play at a university with her identical twin. His sister said that there was a shortcut to the theater by cutting through some class building. My friend didn't think that made sense, but her sister seemed confident about it, so she followed along. Then suddenly her sister opens a classroom door and says, "Let's go in here." My friend goes inside, and freaks out when she sees a bunch of paintings of what looks like herself. Completely naked. It turns out her sister had posed nude for an art class, and thought that would be a fun surprise. There was a fucked up story about the twins in my country. 2 baby girls were swapped in hospital, and one twin came back home with other family. Their daughter stayed with her twin sister. Girls were completely different, but the family thought they are just not identical twins. They found out the truth when all 3 girls were in high schools. The real twins were constantly called differently and strangers would approach them and say hi. They lived in a relatively small town. So finally some common friends organized their meeting. Although they look identical, they are completely different people. One of them likes metal music and wears black clothes. The story didn't end up well. Although they sued the hospital, both families are devastated by the whole story. Mr. Clark. I grew up in a small town where if you were walking down the road and your neighbors were outside, you smiled and waved. For years, I would take walks as a kid, smiled and waved all the time to a dear old gentleman, Mr. Clark. I was sad when I learned he passed away. He was well liked in the community. A couple of weeks after he passed, I went for a walk. As I approached his house, I saw a familiar face. It was Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark was dead. A chill went through me. I felt frozen but yet able to walk. I felt sheer terror. In that second, it was confirmed. Ghosts are real, but no one would believe me, so I kept it to myself. For a couple of weeks, I saw Mr. Clark in his yard a couple of times and I hurried on by his house as fast as I could. That feeling of sheer terror always at the surface. Mr. Ghost Clark was a little off. He didn't smile. He didn't wave. I couldn't take it anymore, so I mentioned Mr. Clark to my bestie's mom, who lived 3 houses down from Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark was a twin. The happy twin passed and the curmudgeon Clark was still alive and kicking. I will never forget the feeling of nearly losing my bowels the first time I saw Ghost Clark after he passed. I will also never forget the laughter my friend's mom couldn't hold back when I told her my ghost story. Not embarrassing, but my twin sister is dating a guy that friend-zoned me. I'll add some context. I really like this one guy. Super nice and funny and smart, and he was pretty cute too. I confess that I liked him and got friend-zoned. It's done and he stopped talking to me after that, which totally sucked. A month later or so my sister told me about the same guy and how they both liked each other. I was pretty sad about it, not gonna lie, but they've been dating for almost 3 months now and they are a cute couple. It does sting when she tells me how great they are doing and how he is always at our house, but she's happy, so it's okay. Another edit. I'm not mad at my sister. I love her. I'm so happy she found someone that likes her for her true self and her uniqueness. Sometimes things happen, and it can suck, but that's just how life is, y'all. Start dating his dad. That'll show them both when you're his mom. I was with my twin brother at the supermarket this one time, and judging from this story I'm guessing that obviously we look the same from the back, but not exactly the front because I'm a female. My brother's girlfriend was shopping at the same store as us that day and comes up behind me and smacks my bottom saying "Hey love." Jokingly I turn around and say it back. The look on her face made me regret what I did. I want to be able to picture that face. Please describe it.